So our high schools take busloads of people down with things of soup and coffee and sandwiches and socks and blankets, and they go to the front of the church, and you wake up 6, and some come out of their boxes and some stay, and you go a few blocks and there's 10, and then there's 5 more, and they think that's normal. So my daughter's school invites me once a year to come try to explain poverty and homelessness, and the thing that's so crazy is that's not normal. You know, if you told someone in 1978 we were going to do that, they wouldn't have believed it was possible. It would have said something like, not in America. Suddenly becomes standard procedure. In Westchester, we had 3 people freeze to death in one winter. So I organized carrying 3 empty coffins to the county office building in a candlelight vigil while they debated the budget. And they decided we don't want people to freeze on the streets. So they started a series of low-demand shelters. It's still there because it's a question, like, are we going to be the kind of county where people freeze on the streets? Or are we not going to be that kind of place? So here's a weird thing. So I've been working with the homeless for 30 years. I'm the co-chair of the group that's supposed to plan the homeless. And for years and years, we've been doing our homeless count. And we write down how many homeless people we have in shelters. It used to be 4,500. For a while, we had the highest per capita rate of homelessness in America. But lately, it's about 1,500, and there are 30 on the streets. We take the count, write it down, send it to HUD, put it in a folder, and we think 30 in the street, that's pretty good. And 72 hours ago, it struck me. Hey, what if we housed them? And no one in Westchester had ever thought, what if instead of, being the sort of the bit left over that you haven't fixed yet, what if we actually fixed it? And so I started calling people around. It's like someone knew where they were 45 days ago, and it turns out the police have a ride-along team, and the police found a lot of them, and what if we get the information to go back to them and say, now go talk to them, let's figure out how to get them housing the way we're doing for homeless veterans. But it was very weird. It wasn't until you could have the idea that you could actually fix something that anything begins to happen. So one of the things now is to fight the tide of despair. So I have a rule in my house that if something bothers you and you say it once, that's news, thank you. The second time and you're whining, and no one likes a whiner. And so recently we were trying to talk about how we house the chronically homeless and the veterans, and the room turned into, oh, it's so hard, there's not enough money for housing, the government's retreating, and they don't want to go, and there's all these problems. And the whole room was like getting into a crescendo. And it sort of shouted everyone down and said, stop! Yes, the world's not fair. It sucks. There's not enough money. Everything's going the wrong direction. Hell in a handbasket, give it. The question is, can you do anything for the people on this list? And if you can do something, then tell me. And if you can't, then sit down, be quiet, let's hear from someone who can. And it just changed the whole conversation to, so what can you do? So push for incremental changes. One of my favorite stories is, so General Custer's a little bighorn. He sends out his scouts. And the first one comes back, sharply salutes, and he says, sir, I have good news and bad news. And the golden-haired general said, well, let's start with the good news. And he said, sir, we can attack in any direction. And so with not having a mission of sort of trying to help the poor, it's sort of like that. There are lots of different ways that you can make it better. The same way if you're trying to make life better for homeless veterans here, there are lots of different things that you can try. So years ago, I was hired by the city of Yonkers to figure out how to prevent juvenile crime, and it turned out one of the risk factors most closely associated was chronic truancy. And we counted, there were 2,000 chronic truant students in the city. And the last grant had run out. Despair, right? 2,000 kids, 0 money. So I called together the superintendent of schools, the commissioner of police, the family court judge, the head of child protective, the head of probation,